So, part 2 of our Dirty Harry full series review. Now, this is a new thing for us. We've never done a full series before, but I just love these ones so much that it had to be done. So, if you didn't join us for part 1, go back, do it right, and listen to us review Dirty Harry, Magnum Force, and The Enforcer. We broke this up by decades. Now we're going to talk about Dirty Harry. In the 80s, we got Sudden Impact and we got the Deadpool. So far, the latest to happen in the series, and I do hope the last, but I guess we'll get into that in the future. So,
with the Dirty Harry series, yeah, I'm hoping so too. Unless if they got old man Clint Eastwood back as Harry Callahan in his retirement home.
Some part of me obviously would love that, but
yeah.
I also like the fact that they did 5 and there's just no plans for the future. I mean, this was before the days when you milked your franchise.
That's true.
They just had 5 good ideas and let it lie.
Yeah, but the real question is, and we're going to start with Sudden Impact. Does it have the potential to be okay? Russell, how the hell are you?
Doing fine. How are you, Matt?
I'm here. I'm here. Just another day.
Yes, indeed.
Another day, man. Another day.
So we're here to provide a full breakdown of the Harry movies, because if I'm not mistaken, I don't think anybody's ever done it. Not all in one piece like this.
Well, we'll just relive how great or maybe how bad these last 2 movies are. I mean, overall, so we, obviously the first one's a classic one by any moviegoer, so it's really the other 4 that people kind of, they're on the fence about, or they feel they really like it, or they really don't like it. And so far, you and I are both in agreement that part 2 and part 3 are great. And Sudden Impact, it's an interesting one. I just want to start off with Sudden Impact. The theme music to this movie is fucking awesome. It's 80s filled, just beep, 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 like awesomeness. And I'm just like, yes, this is what I want in my life.
Lalo Schifrin makes his return once again. He scored 4 of the 5 movies. For whatever reason, he wasn't available for The Enforcer, and they got Jerry Fielding. But I want to mention that we were watching it, and the first note I wrote down was, music, still awesome.
Yeah, that's the first thing I wrote down. I wrote down the first bullet point I have on my notes here. Theme music is awesome. Thank God. Thank you so much for that. This music just, it makes me happy. I think every movie from here on out should have some type of music like this.
You know what's funny is that for a movie series, none of the sequels ever repeated the themes from the first one.
No,
which that's really unusual as far as I can.
Yeah, as far as I know of too. Yeah, I can't really think of another movie like that or another series like that. So it's nice. It's nice. It's kind of like the changing, like things have changed. So is the music. It kind of goes with the theme of, Harry's just getting older in life and things are changing in San Francisco. So speaking of Harry Callahan, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is Clint Eastwood's first directorial kind of like hands-on thing in the series. Am I not wrong?
It's the only one in this, and I don't know why, but this is the only movie in the Dirty Harry series directed by Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, and spoiler, it clearly fucking shows in this movie.
Yes, it does.
Talk about complete 180 from part 3 to part 4. Like, just a complete 180. Let's get into this dark motherfucker here. Wow, like I said, a complete 180. We got in part 3 we had all these in The Enforcer we had this all this lighthearted moments, a little bit of seriousness, but it was like kind of, would you say out of all the 5 films that's probably the goofiest one, or pretty close to it?
It's pretty close. We'll get into some things in a minute.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's one I think I would rank above it, but
yeah, the first 2 are very hard-hitting, action dramas about police work. The third one really lifts things up a little bit. It's real goofy, especially the villains. But the jokes, the premise, they go to Alcatraz for the conclusion. It's that's the movie where we're saying, let's just have some fun with this. And then Clint steps on as the director, and he's like, no fun allowed. This is serious.
You get people that get shot in the dick. I want these people shot in the dick.
I think the perfect thing, because you already mentioned how great the music is, that's like the perfect comparison of the 2 different decades of the series.
Yeah, for sure. We're in the 80s now. That's kind of kind of signifies the era of what the decade is going to be. Because this movie came out, what, 81?
This was 83 for some
83? Okay, so the early 80s.
So the previous one was The Enforcer in 1976. So 7 years go by without a movie in the series, and you can really feel that you're in like the funk disco era with the early music, and they get the same composer back, and yet he was just like the movie. He was on top of what was happening in the world at that time, and suddenly the music is all Casio keyboards and still awesome.
Oh yeah, fucking great.
Still awesome. Great.
It's probably my favorite thing of the whole movie, actually. Oh man, so like the opening scene, let's jump into this opening scene. We get the scene where this car is parked by the beach side, and two people are making out, and the guy is getting on heavy with the girl, and we kind of see like her eyes, and you kind of know she's planning something. And all of a sudden, she pulls out a gun, shoots him right in the dick, and then shoots him in the head, and I mean, it certainly grabs your attention right away in the first 2-3 minutes of the film. I would say, like, the hardest part of making a movie is, grabbing the audience attention right away in the first 5 minutes. And within the first 2 minutes, like, oh, okay, female antagonist, here we go, and this dude gets shot in the dick.
Yeah, it's, if you thought you were going to just comfortably sit through this movie, it's time to wake up, I guess.
I also thought it was kind of weird that she was making out with this guy with her eyes wide open.
Yeah, and good old Clint does do that classic director moment of like close up where the light is right on her eyes, like the window slit. It's seriously cheesy, but like God bless him, he's the director.
Man. I mean, yeah, it was just. I don't know if this was on purpose or this was just something that was forgotten, but you can take this in two ways. There's so much that she did when she killed the guy that either told you A, this is the first time she's ever killed somebody, or B, man, she is just not good at covering things up. Maybe it was just slip-ups. Like, I noticed, like, after she shot him, she just walked outside in broad daylight with the gun still in her hand.
Yeah, and no gloves to conceal her fingerprints either.
No guns, or no gloves, nothing. And she just kind of, like, and then you got it, like, she kind of walks over to the edge, and you're thinking, like, okay, she's going to toss the gun, down the cliff into the water or whatever, and then, she kind of just turns around, we get that close-up again, and then bam, next scene. So you're just like, okay, so she didn't throw the gun down or anything like that?
Well, as we find out, she's going to need it later.
Well, of course. She also returns to the scene of the crime later in the movie, too, which killers commonly do.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is...
As we know now.
Yeah, it's interesting. But and it's also interesting, in the first, 1 and 2, it took us some time to try to figure out who the killer is. So 4 is pretty much going on the theme of 3, where we know who the killer is right away.
That's true. Yeah, total reversal.
Yeah, we know who it is right away. Within the first 2 minutes of the movie, we already know, like, okay, that's our villain right there, or so we think. But at that point, we're just like, okay, murder happened. She murdered this guy. We kind of get some clues. I mean, you don't have to put too much pieces on the table together to realize, okay, she shot him in the dick. She was probably raped. Maybe she was held against her will, or something. You're starting to piece it a little together.
Definitely premeditated.
Yeah, premeditated for sure. But just like, okay, she shot him there. Does she just hate men in general? Was she raped? Was she, something? Maybe she's just showing off. You would think that would give policemen a clue, just like, okay, this man his balls were blown off. Huh. Interesting. But we certainly got some clues right away about who we can kind of put the personality together of this killer.
Right along with the police, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of cool.
So that happens, and then we go, right back to of course, Harry versus. Pretty much, he walks into the courtroom. These 3 guys, they
at the halls of justice.
Yeah. Meanwhile, at the halls of justice, Harry Callahan walks in.
Yeah. So this time he didn't destroy any property that we know of, but he obtained some evidence in a way that is not strictly legal, and so the bad guy gets away with it.
And I put a note on this that he laughed in the courtroom like that when they pronounced his innocent. And I'm just like, only a guilty person laughs like that when they're like, oh shit, we got away with this.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
I agree, but what else can you do?
I know, right? I know, right?
Can't hold him.
And then, so here's another thing where I was like, I fucking put down. I don't know why I didn't really, put it together the first time I watched this, but then I realized, what the fuck? Do you realize that both opposite parties walked out together? Out of the
I guess I feel like that's rare that happens.
What is that ever happened?
So, Harry and the guy he's trying to put behind bars just kind of stroll to the exit together. They get in the elevator together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just walk out and, the villain mouths off the Harry's and next time or something like that, and he grabs him by the tie and compares, his luck to dog shit.
Sometimes can happen to dog shit.
Yeah, it can even be stepped on. I'm just like, holy fuck, dude. And that poor woman who's standing behind her is just like, fuck, dude, I don't want to be here.
She's like an intern. She's got her college textbooks.
Yep.
Yeah. Welcome to Homicide.
Oh, my God. I find the courtroom pretty funny, and the judge just... Obviously, you got the message that the judge has had previous history with Harry, and she was not having it with him.
And this is not the first time. Just something like that. Mm-hmm. It's great.
Oh, I had a good time. I think the courtroom scene is just great. But, of course, then we go to the Acorn Cafe.
Hold on, you noticed its name?
Yes, hell yeah, I did. The Acorn Cafe.
Wow.
Where Harry's getting his cup of coffee that he's gotten there for the past 10 years. Mm-hmm. And do you know what kind of coffee he gets every time he goes to the Acorn Cafe?
Isn't it just a regular black coffee?
You got it, regular black coffee.
That's what it'd be. I mean, he's a man.
He's a regular black coffee. That's what he gets. So he gets his coffee, but he's just so oblivious. He's just reading his newspaper, and the waitress is just pouring the whole fucking sugar container into his coffee, and I'm just like, holy crap! How is that coffee not overflowing right out of the cup?
Yeah, and I love that because every other thing in this movie is pretty realistic. Mm-hmm. But when she pours out the sugar, it just goes on for 10 years.
I know. Oh my.
How much sugar is in one of those?
It's fucking huge. She pours his coffee, and like I said, maybe just the brim of it's just free, and then she just pours. And pours. And
she shakes it out. Like no subtlety.
This goes on for a minute and a half. And you're just sitting there, So obviously, the camera just used to other people in the, in the kind of the cafe, kind of people that are like, okay, something's going on here. And, the waitress is kind of looking at her like, hey, fucking look at me. Mm. Doing all that, just like, And so she gets done. She's like, Harry puts down the dollar that he always pays every time, leaves. He leaves the cafe, and of course, as soon as he leaves, they flip it to close. Guys come out with the guns. They're fucking robbing a cafe. Yeah. What kind of part-timers are there? What happened to robbing a bank?
Banks are too complicated. Everybody's got their money out of cafe.
Oh my God!
I guess.
So they rob a cafe that probably rakes in $200 a day.
Yeah, well, they're small time. My favorite thing about it, well, that's not true. I have a lot of favorites, but I like when Harry leaves and the guy says, "All right, we did real good with that cop." He's not in uniform. How does he know he's a cop?
Yeah, how does he know he's a cop? Exactly. Yeah,
unless he just comes there every single day.
Yeah, he was scoping out the Acorn Cafe. We're going to rob this place one day. We're going to rob them the coffee, sugar, donuts, breakfast burritos, and Callahan ain't going to know shit. Then why did they just rob for the food?
I guess you're right. They're just dine and dash.
Oh, my. Yeah, exactly.
That's how you get back at the man.
It was easy back then. It's the fucking early 80s.
You made me reconsider. Maybe they just have been watching the place and they know that the cop comes and gets his coffee every day.
God, they out of all the places to rob, they robbed the Acorn Cafe.
I mean, maybe that place does good business.
Yeah, maybe early breakfast hours, they're raking in dough.
Mighty good cup of coffee.
Oh my God. But I like how they rob and he comes back in, he's like, you just say,
Yeah, he comes back in the servant's entrance.
Yeah, he does. He's like...
He's very familiar with the Acorn.
What are you doing here? I came back to complain about my coffee. For 10 years, I have ordered from... He knew the waitress's name. I can't remember her name.
Janine.
It's Joyce or something.
Joyce, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. and I get a black coffee every day for 10 years. And when I took a sip today, it was sugar.
A lot of sugar.
A lot of sugar. I came back to complain about my coffee. And then, of course, Harry just blows these fucking guys away. Except for the last guy who he let
Well,
away.
but first he says possibly the best line in the movie. We're not just going to let you walk out of here. Smith, Wesson, and me. And then he pulls out the classic 44 Magnum, first appearance in the movie, and meets out justice to the guys who are going to rob the Acorn. And then one of them takes a hostage, and you take it from here.
And then I think, actually, now that I think about it, I think it's the first time since the first movie where we hear, "Go ahead, make my day."
It's the first time, and I'm glad you brought that up. It's the first time in the entire series.
Oh, really?
And the only time. Yeah, at first, it's one of those things people believe he said it in the first movie.
I thought he did.
It just got so famous. It's one of those, beam me up, Scotty, type of things.
Wow. So yeah, he says that, and
in the first movie, Do I Feel Lucky?
Oh yeah, that's right.
But this is the first appearance of Make My Day. We're 4 movies in, and we haven't had our famous phrase yet.
It's pretty good.
So I think that's kind of fascinating in a way.
Yeah, and
I know President Reagan helped make it more famous, but there you go.
Go ahead. Oh, Ronald Wilson Reagan, 666. So the guy gives up, and obviously the cops turn on the Acorn Cafe. Man, they made it there really fast. It's like, how did they know that place was being robbed?
I don't suppose he radioed it in.
Either radioed it in, or maybe somebody hit a button, or I don't know. I mean, it's not a convenience store, so I can't imagine the Acorn Cafe has one of those emergency alarms back there.
Well, he was firing away in there. I guess maybe somebody heard the shots, and maybe there's just always police cars ready whenever Harry goes.
San Francisco Police Department's pretty quick.
They are.
So
gotta give him that much.
Yep. He goes ahead and
makes his day.
The guy gives up, and then we cut. I think the next thing we get is the wedding, right?
Oh yeah, the day of my daughter's wedding.
Yeah, that was awesome. You.
Yeah, so I wrote down...
What happened? He must have saw the bill.
So I wrote down a thrill kiss because I knew I'd never remember that name. But
nice. I didn't write his name down.
There's a San Francisco mob boss, and he's been putting people away in dastardly ways. And Harry's just going to wander into this cafe and intimidate him to death, which he successfully does.
Yeah, was it his daughter or his niece's wedding?
I think it was his daughter.
Okay, yeah, I thought so too.
It's got to be.
But he kind of intimidates them by saying, like, hey, he talks about some prostitute that was found pretty much beaten to death, thrown into the sea, and he kind of says that and kind of lies to him about he's got evidence in these papers right here. And the guy gets so worked up, he's like, you, and he just kind of has a heart attack or something.
And then, of course, classic, he hands off the empty sheets of paper to the waitress. It was all a ruse. That's good detective work.
Yes.
That's what that is.
And then we can go back to the police headquarters, and our old buddy McKay's back for another movie. I gotta admit, the enforcer at the exit about McKay announcing on the helicopter after...
Yeah, we have your money.
We have your money! Just give us the mail back! And McKay, you're like 2 hours late, dude. But yeah, was this the first time, I cannot remember, but was this the first time a police, commissioner or chief or whatever they are, was he... was that the first time they made a second appearance?
Yeah, this chief of police finally comes back for a second movie. But the other time they did that was when Lieutenant Bressler, and he wasn't the big boss, but he returned for 1 and 3 for whatever reason, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's off and on, there's some consistency in the series.
Every now and then, yeah. So McKay comes back, and of course they're still at odds with each other. Because, obviously, the thrill kiss or whatever.
Yeah, thrill kiss.
Yeah. They're arguing about that, how he kind of unlawfully just went in there and gave the man a heart attack. Well, he didn't unlawfully do it. He just...
they're busting his balls about how... I guess technically it would be police intimidation. But as far as I know, there's no law against going in and telling somebody that they're a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
If they have a heart attack, it's his problem.
Yeah.
Maybe that's cold of me, but
and because of this, they force Harry to take a vacation, which, he's like, I'm not up for a vacation. I'm not up for a vacation. You are now.
Yeah, goddammit, I just put you up.
So then, I love that. I love that. See, I'm not up for a vacation. You are now.
That's the most professional he's ever behaved. That's when he's like, I'm not allowed to take time off.
Oh, it's great. And then, of course, we get back to the villain, or so we think. In this movie, and she's visiting her sister, and her sister's like in a coma, or a mental coma. Like she's visible, she's conscious, but she's just non-responsive.
Yeah, I don't know what the term would be, because she does blink. She is kind of aware, but
she's aware. She just
can't really function.
She can't function, and her sister, the killer, tells her sister like she met up with one of the guys and killed him. She kind of hints her, I'm going to take care of the rest of them. So now you're like, oh, there's more. And of course, this the sister starts crying, but she's just not responsive. And we get that hint too from the doctor, because she asks, how is she? And still tried everything. She's almost like in a state of shock, and
I don't know if catatonic.
Yeah, catatonic shock. Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. Like she just can't. She's just mentally not there. She's been in such a shock for so long. She's in like this mental vegetation state. That's what they kind of referred it to in the movie a little bit. She's just kind of in this vegetation state, and so kind of gives the audience our clue a little more. Okay, something more is going on.
And we know that there's more people who are gonna meet revenge from our leading lady.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Meanwhile, Harry's getting hunted down by all these mobsters. He's hiding in barrels. They're driving over sidewalk curbs, and sparks are flying. All this shit. like man, this man just can't go on, have a nice dinner, and just go home for the night.
Yeah, I forgot. I had until we watched it again. I forgot about the scene where he hides in like a dumpster.
He hides in like this barrel or something. And then these three guys are just oozing this like crate they think he's hiding in, and he comes out.
Oh, they shoot up the storage crate or whatever.
Yeah, they shoot up the storage crate.
He was in the keg.
He was in the keg or the barrel that the lid was already open, the most obvious spot you would think.
Yeah. And
they didn't check it, and then he shot all three of them, and then tried to go after the other guy, who was, if you notice, he was one of the entrance bodyguards to the wedding.
Ooh, good catch.
Yeah, he was one of the entrance. And
Eagle eyes. And
then later on, we will see him in the hotel, too. So he follows Harry down to San Paulo, and he's the one who. Well, we'll get into Meathead later on, but he's the one that Meathead sniffs out and tries to kill him, and Harry gets him. So yeah, we see that guy, even though he doesn't really say much. He just tries to kill the son of a bitch. But yeah, I mean, poor Harry, and of course, later on, those three guys in the courtroom. Like San Francisco's got to be a small fucking town.
Yeah.
Like Harry's like the only one driving. He's just like going home for dinner, and then these guys show up. They're like, we know the car he drives too.
I'm so glad, because I never thought about that. But he's in the middle of one of the busiest cities in America. He's the only guy on the street, and they know
San
exactly where to
Francisco's a big
find.
fucking city.
I love it.
And they just find him, and then they're beating they're breaking his car with a baseball bat, throwing cocktails in his car,
like a crowbar or something.
And then the whole his back seat catches on fire. He's still driving, and then guess what, dude? Guess fucking what? We can't have anybody not dying by water.
Oh yeah, the return of the deadly San Francisco Bay.
San Francisco Bay gets 3 more victims. As he throws a cocktail back into their car, they drive off through the dock.
Yeah, they go the dock. It's like 10 feet up, maybe.
And they just crash into the water, and you're dead. What is with this fucking water?
I guess my theory is it's so polluted that nobody can survive.
Are there sharks that just eat people like that? Or are they all just come on, there's got to be someone who's going to jump in there? Is that just what happens? I don't get it.
I don't know, but it causes instant death.
Yeah, another movie where somebody else dies by the fucking water. That San Francisco Bay got him again.
God bless.
God, you're right, dude. It's got to be polluted. What is in this water?
That's all I can figure.
Maybe there's like bear traps in there. I don't know, man. It could be anything.
Anti-tank mines. Who the hell knows?
Who fucking knows?
It's deadly. Don't go for a swim.
Yeah, like, oh god, you think they would have put up signs or something? Somebody clean this water. Scientists, where are you? What's your research telling us? There's people dying in this water.
Must be an algae bloom.
So that prompts them to put Harry even more on vacation, like an indefinite vacation or something. They beg him to go somewhere.
Oh no, he's back on the case, but he has to go to San Paulo.
Oh, that's right. He's like, why the hell would I want to go there? And then, of course, it's in relation to the first guy who gets shot in the dick because he was from San Paulo. He had some crimes that were down there, which, so they put him on the case. And so then he goes off into some kind of shooting range or something out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere.
Yeah, he goes to this really lovely public park and sets up some dummies and starts firing at them, which is obviously okay to do legally.
I'll leave it to you. We have another returning character.
We do have another returning cast member. We have the great Albert Popwell, whose name is not only awesome, but does an amazing job in this whole series. Mm-hmm. As far as we know, he plays 4 different characters, although they seem to kind of blend together. So he always plays some kind of scumbag, and so he pulls up in his fancy car behind Harry, and the ominous music plays, and Harry's doing target practice. He can't hear anything. So Albert comes up behind him. I didn't write down what his character's name is.
Horace.
Horace, that's right. Mm-hmm. Damn. Nothing gets past you.
not this movie.
So Horace comes up behind him, and Harry whips around and points his pistol right in his face, and that's when we realize they know each other, and they've worked together on these cases before.
Yep, and not only that, he's part of the police department now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So either it's a brand new character, or Big Ed Mustafa changed his ways. Either way,
I was trying to remember his name in the third movie, and I'm glad you mentioned it. I'm like, what the fuck was his name? His name was not Horace in the third movie.
Big Ed Mustafa. Oh. Why do I remember that but not Horace?
Oh my
Who can say?
So yeah, they and he knows he's going down to San Paulo, so they do some shooting practice, and then down to San Paulo goes Harry, and of course, and dude, I said it's too early watching the movie. It's the second he rolls into San Paulo, somebody's getting mugged.
Yeah,
and there's a shootout, and then he's
apparently robbing another coffee joint or something.
This guy just
where the money is.
Oh god, and the chase scene in this is awesome.
That is a highlight of the whole series. So Harry knows he can't possibly take him down on foot, especially after he jumps on a moped and takes off. Mm-hmm. So he commandeers a bus from some people who just happen to be boarding, and
it's a retirement community.
We find out that it's a retirement home.
Yeah, it's a retirement home.
And so he chases him down in the bus.
He does.
It has like Sunnyvale or something. It has an awesome name. But he's full of retirees, and they're all like, "Go get that son of a bitch!"
There's a bitch has to drop me off at that place.
Yeah.
So that happens. So that's like his introduction to San Paulo.
So I think one of the most bizarre things is, it's a cool idea for the first time they take him out of San Francisco, but for whatever reason, he goes to the fictional town of San Paulo. There is no such place. I had to look it up. Apparently, it was played by the real city of Santa Cruz, California. Mm-hmm. Wow.
There's also a correlation between Harry arriving to San Paulo because we get the woman. Did you have her name?
Are we talking about the main lady?
The main lady.
Yeah, Jennifer Spencer.
Spencer, that's right. She's a painter.
They gave her a really ordinary name.
Yeah, really,
hard to remember.
She's a painter. She's a world-famous painter, so she gets hired down there to repaint the carousel or something, like a famous carousel down there.
On the boardwalk, she's gonna fix up
She's gonna fix it up.
The carousel downtown.
And so she gets the keys, and of course she has the flashbacks of the rape, and apparently, so her and her sister 10 years ago lived down in San Paulo. They went to school down there, whatever the case may be. So they obviously lived down there, and of course they got invited to this party, which we get introduced to these characters later on, the people that she's hunting down. And it's a very, very surreal scene. Like the rape scene was very surreal. Like you get the cutbacks of people having fun on the roller coaster because it's on the beach and it's close to to this the boardwalk and the amusement park. And you just get that cutscene and they're screaming and crying and Like the guys are thrusting her. You got that crazy lady that's just laughing her ass off, just loving this and drinking beer, and the radio gets turned up so no one can hear them scream and cry. It's a very surreal moment.
Yeah, having seen a couple of the movies he's directed, it's kind of a classic Eastwood thing where it's like watching a nightmare, more than anything else. And it's a great job because you feel the horror, but at the same time, nothing on screen is like gonna make you barf or anything. So you get the violence and the uncomfortable feeling without being too kind of gross. Which I think that shows a lot of skill as a filmmaker.
Yeah, it does. So we know there's 5 of them there total that are doing stuff.
It's a big group too.
Yeah, it's a big group. So that now you know what's her motivation behind killing.
Yeah.
And now officially there's more, even more people. Now we have a number of who she's trying to get after, and man, it was kind of. I remember the first time I was like, holy shit, dude! Wow, I didn't expect this to happen.
Yeah.
And she's a well-known artist. You see her beforehand, before she goes out to St. Paul. You see her at the art gallery. She's like, I'm leaving. I'm going out of town. So she's up to something, and people really admire her artwork. And I guess my interpretation of it is her artwork's inspired by the incident that happened. So it's 2 totally different things that happened between the sisters. The one just went into this catatonic state and can't even function, while the other one is motivated by her artwork, and it shows the surreal, horrific type of style that she paints. And people are really attracted to them. They want to know what inspires her, and obviously we know.
Yeah.
But now she's motivated by murder because her painting just can't mask what she really wants.
Yeah, she even does a self-portrait, and all her stuff is very bright primary colors, lots of red. So it's yeah, it's what you would be feeling, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, we get. So we go back to Callahan, and now it's big city versus small city. They know Callahan's from San Francisco. San Paulo's is quiet.
It's a big shot from the big city.
Mm-hmm. Big guy, Pat Hingle, Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, God bless
in this movie. I can't wait until later on when we talk about it, because I cannot wait to do this one thing. But obviously we get we don't need no big shot detective from Mr. Big City Man telling us what to do. You stay out of our way.
It turns into in the heat of the night for a bit there, because the small town cops think he's there to show them how it's done, and they don't know that he's just there so he doesn't kill anybody else. And back home.
So Harry kind of, he has it in with one of the cops because in the chase scene, the one cop tried to stop the guy and he shoots him. But he lives, and he says, thanks for saving my life and all that and stuff, and he asks him to do a ballistic report, and later on he's going to be a little more helpful. And then was the bar scene after that where he goes into the bar, or was it?
Yeah, it's right around this time.
Or does he go to the hotel first and he meets up with Meathead?
I think it's bar first.
Yeah, so he goes into this bar with all these crazy cats, just drinking, and you hear that fucking orange. What was her name? God damn it! The lady with the orange hair.
Oh God, I don't remember that either.
Mm-hmm. Really obnoxious. Just her laughs just unforgettable.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So this is great too. There are moments when he's a great detective, when he really figures out clever ways to get people. And then there are other moments when he just walks into a bar and goes, does anybody know Bobby Schmidt? Because somebody killed him. He's like, tell me everything you know, God damn it.
Gets a little impatient.
So, nobody wants to help because they're all the killers.
Oh, God. And so she tries to, she wants to play darts with some guy, and they're like, no, and she, trash talks him. She's kind of, tough and, I don't know, you just
I can't remember her name. She's the local color. She's brash. Everybody knows her.
Yeah, they're kind of just like, oh, God, we'll deal with her, but they're kind of afraid of her somewhat. I kind of got that impression, too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's never said, but everybody kind of, keep your distance from...
And so she sits next to Harry. She's like, hey, cutie, how about you buy me a drink? And he just kind of says, no, good.
He's like, not this century or something.
Mm-hmm.
Something a little too harsh.
She tries to slap him, and he grabs her wrist, turns around, and kicks her in the butt and knocks her down. And everybody at the bar stands up ready to fight him. And then, of course, you don't want to tell me what happened to Bobby Schmidt. He got his balls blown off. And then she's like, ah! And it's kind of fucking twisted because everybody, like, at first he says it, and everybody's just kind of like turning their head like, oh God, no. And then she says like, and then everybody's like, and then he's just kind of like, what the fuck? And he walks up. Not to mention he takes only 2 sips of his beer and he leaves.
Yes, and that comes back.
I know.
In many ways.
I'm going to mention it again and again.
Yeah, that's another scene where it's like a dream sequence.
Yeah, it's
like
really
he mentions
weird.
this guy who they know, and he knows they know him. Got brutally killed, and everybody hesitates a bit, and then just laughs their asses off.
Yeah, that's just that's so terrible. Like, you imagine if you knew a guy who you're, I don't know, you would say close, but like you knew somebody, and somebody says, yeah, he got his balls blown off, and then shot in the head, and then you're just like, and all of a sudden everyone in the room's just like, like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, there's something in the water in San Paulo.
And it's not San Francisco Bay.
No, but it might be equally bad.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was just I love that scene, but it's so fucking weird.
Bizarre,
like, it kind of gives you an introduction of what this town is like. You're just like, fuck, dude, who are these people?
Full of sick people.
Either way, they really didn't like him.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about Meathead.
Okay. So Horace gets Harry a present when he arrives at his hotel in San Paulo, and he arranges for him to get the ugliest bulldog or some kind of mutt that you've ever seen.
It was like a bulldog. It's so cute.
He can't even walk because, like, his legs are not all the same length, and he has this big, droopy, ugly mug.
The droopiest, like, face I've ever seen on a dog in my life.
Oh, God, he's an awkward fella.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a good match for Harry.
Yeah.
And he's like 2 feet off the ground, so Harry has to take him for a walk on a leash that's 9 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
It's great. So, they're jogging, by, on the sidewalk, and Meathead's just like, blah, 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 just like kind of just trotting along. Then you see Jennifer Spencer riding her bike, and she gets knocked over by Meathead.
Yeah, and she's in her 1983 Jane Fonda workout clothes on her bicycle. That's pretty great.
Oh, that's awesome. That's kind of Harry and Jen's kind of introduction to each other, Meathead.
Yeah, this is classic. This is where it turns into a rom-com. Like, this dog knocks her off her bike. Why don't you watch your dog? And then they fall in love. The end.
Somebody told me I should get a leash for him.
But there is a great line. She says, "Is this your dog?" And he goes, "Why, you want him?"
Yeah.
That's great.
And he says it again.
Yeah. It's too good a line to not use twice.
He says it again. So later that day, we see this guy, with everything green. Green car, green hat, green flannel jacket, green pants, green fishing pole, green towel, green everything.
Green cooler.
Green cooler? That's another one? Oh my God. I'm surprised his joint wasn't green.
And what we don't know is that he's actually the Riddler.
Oh, that's the biggest riddle of them all.
Yeah, that was super weird.
Yeah, everything was green.
Well,
and I was like, is it St. Patrick's Day?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess it was so he wouldn't get lost.
I guess every day in San Paulo is screwed.
If he ever loses his wallet and it's green, somebody will be like, "Hey, that's Jimmy.
That's his pot of gold." Oh my God! So he's like on the beach. He's got his Walkman, his headphones, and he's just like, I find this really fucking funny, and maybe it's just a long enough line for it. But did you notice he's like in the middle of the beach and his fishing rod is just staying upright? And I'm like, is he really fishing, or is he just like, is he chilling? What the fuck is it? What is he listening to?
I remember that because I'm not a fisherman, but he's sitting with his pole in the sand. He's miles from the shore. I mean, That's not how you do it, right?
No, I don't think so. Maybe he just wanted to smoke some weed and.
I guess. And if the cops ever caught him, he could be like, "I'm not smoking, I'm fishing."
What are you fishing for? Sand, people? No, that was.
Just go a little closer.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy.
But it doesn't matter much.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter much. So Jennifer Spencer, we kind of get the flashback and we see his face. He was one of the guys that raped her. Man, she knew, like, where everyone was going in this movie. She had scoped out this whole town, knew what everyone was doing that she wanted to get revenge on.
Well, everybody seems to know each other in the town anyway.
That's true. So, she goes up to him. She doesn't have the gun out first. And, he's smoking. He kind of looks at her, acknowledges her. And he's smoking. And then he offers her a smoke. And then she's like, take him off, like, his headphones. And he's like, what? And she's like, remember me? And he's just like, no, should I? And then she obviously kind of talks about the rape a little bit, and all of a sudden his eyes just get real big, like, oh shit, that's you. And then she breaks out like the shiniest gun ever, and just shoots him in the, she shoots him in the dick, first shot too, and then shoots him in the head. And by the way, there's nobody on this beach.
No, it's a private beach for Greenie.
For leprechauns. Yeah. Oh god. So yeah, I mean.
Yeah, the nice thing is that there's never any witnesses.
Yeah, there's these killers. It doesn't matter if it's like Magnum Force, the Enforcer, Sudden Impact. I mean, no witnesses. Like, where the fuck are these people in California? They don't stay inside in California. Not even when it rains.
I guess not.
Oh shit.
Nobody's out there surfing, catching a wave?
Yeah, nobody is. And then not until, they're back to the crime scene and, Harry shows up and they find his dead body and, then you see all the surfers and people going there and, Pat Engle's just investigating the thing and he's like, why didn't you call me?
Oh, that reminds me. Before we get too lost, this is almost consistent in all 5 movies. It's only in the first 4. But I was thinking about it. They all have a scene where one of the other cops, they're at a crime scene, they're looking at the dead bodies. One of the other cops has to step away because he's too, troubled by the sight of the violence and everything. And Harry just, is sipping his coffee or whatever he's doing. Mm-hmm. And there's always that contrast. It's in the first 4 movies. They don't do it again in the 5th.
Huh.
But it's one of those things.
Interesting. So then we get, him and Pat Hingle just get into this argument about, you just stay out of your business, you do your thing, and I'll do my thing. This is my town, not your town. We don't need big city cops up here. And
Okay, so can I be Harry and you be
sure.
So this is hands down the best thing that happens in the whole movie. When Harry's like, well, I'm going to go down to ballistics and figure out the slugs from the gun.
And then Pat Hingle just goes, that's literally what he does. His face just blows up, and he just goes on the it's like ballistics was like a trigger word. I love that scene so much. I was laughing so hard at it.
So I didn't know what to say. I just wrote down the chief explodes. You're not gonna do a goddamn thing. You can't. You get the hell out of here.
I would have been like, man, say, don't spray it, dude.
Get this guy the Oscar already.
I know, Jesus Christ. I mean, that was intense. Oh, that's the best scene of the whole movie. Oh my god. So obviously, the bad guys, they're kind of piecing together on, okay, 2 of those guys are dead. Something's going on here. So of course
must be a connection.
Yeah, they're starting to figure out there's a connection here. Or at least the one in the orange hair does. She goes to the warehouse store, and there's one of the guys that obviously was involved, and it seems like he's grown up and he doesn't want anything to do with her and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I think the villain squad, whatever it is, they get really interesting at this point because we get a guy who obviously was very young at the time, and of course he looks like a choir boy. He's this little blonde guy, and he stammers when he talks, and it's clear that he was kind of bullied into doing it, and has some remorse about it. And So then she goes and bullies him some more.
Yeah.
You better watch your balls, or whatever
Yeah,
fucking thing she said to him.
she grabs his cock in his store. Yeah, she just smokes in the store, just bullies him some more, and just wants her out of his life. And obviously, I think he's kind of afraid of her because she can blackmail him for something because he's kind of big in the community. You know,
and he's a businessman now.
He's a businessman now, and this poor guy, he's just like, oh fuck. So now we get introduced to that, and he's just doing his thing, and then of course, he's at his house. There's the garage door open, and somehow Jennifer Spencer sneaks into his house. Like she obviously doesn't go through the garage door, but he's kind of in the garage. He's kind of like going around. All of a sudden, we realize he's cleaning a gun, so he's kind of preparing himself. Like, okay, something is going on. I should beat that. And all of a sudden, the door closes, and he kind of looks up, and the door goes, and it's completely dark. And it's her, and she tells him, "Put down the gun." And he puts down the gun, and of course, he begs, and he does the business thing where I can offer you lots of money. You want that, don't you? You want a lot of money.
Yeah, this is. I really enjoy this scene. He gets really pathetic. He pleads. He grovels.
He begs. He's like, "Don't make me beg."
Yeah.
He's like, "Please."
I also like the fact that they're in the garage and the only light is from outside. It's kind of like a scene from a Hitchcock movie where it's just like you see his eyes and her eyes, and that's all you need.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he just she just shoots him in the dick, and then
she doesn't show any mercy. I mean,
no. Yeah, I think at that point, he was begging and that stuff, and she just kills him. So then, we get back to Harry, and he's asking about we get a clue that Pat Hingle, he knows these people because there's a picture in his office at some sort of wedding, and you see all the people that when Jennifer Spencer was remembering the rape, all of them are in that picture.
Yeah, the chief of police forgot to take down his framed picture of all the murder suspects.
Yeah.
Which is, small town, I guess.
Small town humor, I guess.
Mm.
So maybe, and Harry asked that one cop, like, who's that in the picture? And he's like, oh, that's the police chief, those are people, and that's why he goes to the bar, because the cop's like, yeah, that's so-and-so, the orange-haired woman, she's a local here, but she's brash.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. So then he notices when he goes back, because Pat Hingle calls him back into the office, and the picture's missing.
But this time there's just a blank spot.
It's a blank spot, but I like it. It's for you. He hands him the phone, and his superiors back in San Francisco are yelling at him. Do you understand? No, I don't understand. And just hangs up and gives him the ballistic reports, and he says it's a match. We're dealing with the same killer. The same one that killed the guy up in San Francisco, the same guy that gets killed. Question for you.
Yes.
How the fuck does Harry get into the hardware store guy's house?
I mean, I guess the door wouldn't be locked anymore if it was a murder scene.
Yeah, I guess so, but he just asks some questions, because he knows the guy owns the warehouse business, so he goes to his house and he just walks in. He obviously discovers the body, and of course they're back at the garage, seeing him and Pat Hingle. What do you want from me? Oh, it's fucking great. It's fucking great. Yeah, I also wrote on my notes there, doors unlocked. Why? Why are the doors unlocked?
I think we're meant to think that this is the kind of town where people don't lock their doors, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's that much further up the coast. Or whatever.
I guess. So what happens next? Do we get introduced to Mick? Or was it...
not just yet, because we have to have the dinner scene.
Alright, and that's the other part I was going to ask you. Was it the dinner scene next? Take it away.
I will take it away. I wrote in my notes, I wrote, awkward dinner scene. Because Harry and Jennifer, he's wandering by with his dog and happens to go past a fancy outdoor restaurant where she's eating alone. And he charms his way into having dinner with her, as he would, and orders a beer. More on that later.
Oh, but you know what I'm gonna say.
And so they have dinner together, and she figures out he's a cop, and so they talk about the justice system and how rigged it is, and all the goddamn red tape, and all these killers are out here on the loose, and somebody ought to put them away. And she's saying all this, and he's kind of sitting there with this look on his face, like he can't believe it. And then
somebody thinks exactly how I think. Yeah. And then of course, he kind of tells her he's investigating a murder that happened in San Francisco, and that's why he's down here. And that's when she knows, like, oh no, he's on my trail. This guy's on my trail right now. And of course, she just goes away. She pays for the beer, which he only takes 2 fucking sips of his beer. God, Harry, just chillax.
Like I know it's a movie, but I love how they sit down to kind of have dinner together. Mm-hmm. They have a couple of sips of beer and they take off.
Yep, sir, that's your dog.
This conversation's over. I might as well leave. It's not like the food's coming.
Yeah. So, and his dog's just peeing everywhere.
Finish his beer even.
I know. Like Meathead could have been peeing some more. He could have been just drinking the beer, and everybody's happy.
Is this your dog?
Hey, is this your dog? Why do you want him?
Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, that's an interesting dinner scene. It's obviously, and then we get to the phone call to Mick, and obviously the redheaded woman hinted to the warehouse owner, the hardware store owner guy. So it's like, I'm giving Mick a call. He's like, you keep that fucking psycho away from me. She's like, I'll tell him you said that.
Yeah, so we really haven't been introduced to Mick properly in this movie until we find him in his hotel room. Yeah,
with some sort of stripper, and you can tell he's really aggressive. He's like, say it. Say it!
Yeah, he slithers and drools all over.
Yeah. Oh, Mick,
you're pretty gross.
You're so strong. Yeah. And he's just like, yeah, and beautiful.
He's strong and beautiful.
Yeah.
Are his 2 favorite things to hear.
She's clearly scared to death, but she wants the money. And then the phone rings, and he's just kind of hesitant. He's like, I'll fucking answer it. And then he picks up the phone. He's like, what the fuck do you want? And then he's like, well, that's interesting. Yeah, we'll have to do something about it. And then, he gets back, and she catches him up on some things. The orange hair lady, and they're talking about it. So Harry, later on, he's going to go on and investigate her. He's going to question her. And I fucking love this scene. I don't know why it's just so fucked up to me in so many ways. Mick's passed out on the couch. They had a couple beers. They caught up with some old times probably. And so she's smoking a cigarette. It's nighttime now. She's just fuck. And all of a sudden she goes over to Mick, gets on top of him, starts making out with him, touching him, and then he wakes up, he's like, get the fuck off me! And they get into this big, huge fight. He punches her, throws it around, and then Harry just walks into the house.
Well, these people are class acts. That's what we know about them so far.
Oh, it's great. And so Harry beats the shit out of Mick. She's beating him up, and he punches her. Oh, it's great, dude. It's absolutely great.
Oh, I forgot about the arrest scene, I guess you would call it.
Yeah,
so he knows about Mick. He hasn't connected it to the lady yet, but he's gonna arrest Mick, and so she tries to rescue him, but gets decked in the face by Dirty Harry, which, is kind of an honor when you think about it.
Yeah.
And then he hauls him into the police station, and he's like, here's your scumbag, let's find out what we got.
Book him, Dano! Yeah. So that happens, and obviously while that was happening, Jennifer Spencer was there ready to shoot the lady.
Yeah, this is a great moment where Harry hauls away what he thinks is his man, and then Jennifer comes in and confronts her target, the lady, and they have a little catching up to do, and then she shoots her right in the tits.
Yeah. And then right in the head, she's got that big spot, but it's
the gunshot. This is
she has that it's just this ginormous bomb.
It's a beautiful special effect. It kind of takes a chunk of her hair away.
And of course, before she gets shot, she's like, "So how's your slut sister?"
Yeah.
But she has the flashback of when they were talking at the garden store, and she's the one who invited him to the party.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, she worked at like a greenhouse or something.
Yeah, some greenhouse or some warehouse, garden store.
Whatever you would call it. She sells flowers. And so our evildoer lady invites her to come down to the pier. And that's where the crime happens. But I do love the flashback of Sandra Locke in her days of innocence.
Yeah. Rosy cheeks.
They made her hair longer. They put a lot of rouge on her. And like the only thing she didn't get was like a giant lollipop to look like a child, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. My sister's in town, and I just want to, like, chill. Bring her. More the merrier. Like, come on, dude. You should have said no.
Well, she didn't know how fucked up of a place this was at that time.
I guess not. Oh, but just
God, I forgot that. I love the makeup job to make her look younger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she just shot her in the fucking head. It's brutal. It's absolutely fucking brutal. But no, that was great. Like, we knew that was coming.
Oh, yeah.
So we know there's 2 people left. Things are getting really serious now. So obviously, like, Mick gets his phone call. So he makes the one phone call, and he's calling the police chief, Pat Engel. And he's kind of sitting at home reading his newspaper. He looks over, and then he just keeps reading the newspaper. So you're like, huh, what's that all about, I wonder? So that's what you're kind of taking away from it. By the way, we missed the part. Remember the guy who was shooting Harry, or the bodyguard? Well, he was down. Obviously, Meathead sniffed him out, and Harry shot him at the hotel.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. So there's that, and that part happened a while ago. So pretty much, the San Francisco mobster boss is not sending any more guys to kill him anymore, to follow him, because they're all dead.
Oh, and this brings me to another one of my favorite parts. Do you want to sleep alone tonight?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. After that happened, they kind of met up on the beach, and she was drinking on the beach, and he was drinking on the beach, and he asked to drive her home. He's like, "No, it's all right." He's like, "No, I insist. You never know what happens in the dark," or something like that. So he drives her home, and man, like I mentioned this to you when we watched this, just driving her home. He drops her, and she's like, "This is it," and she gets out quickly. She's like, and he's just like, "All right," and she's like, "So, do you want to come inside and drink something heavier than beer?" And he's just like, So next thing you know, he's drinking some brandy. He's like, "Do you want to sleep with me alone tonight here?" And he's just like, like it happens so fast. I'm like, where did this come from?
Another beer he doesn't get to finish.
I know.
Too much in shock, yeah.
I know.
He just leaves it parked at the curb because they're like, okay,
I'm coming
out.
Oh boy, I never saw Harry Callahan run so fast like that. And so he notices like there's a mirror broken. He notices some of the art, and she never talks art to a critic and all that stuff.
Yeah, this is where we see her self-portrait she's working on, which is just this really garish view of her face, all red and green.
Yeah.
It's a clue.
Yeah, it's a clue, we think, maybe. So, afterwards, Mick gets out of jail thanks to those 2 guys that Harry roughed up earlier about at the fish market or the fish store. Whoa, who was the husband of that lady?
I think she's the wife of the guy with all the green stuff.
Ah, okay. I never caught that.
She's the wife of one of the suspects, but he's already dead.
Yeah.
And I think it's the guy who got shot because he was with a fishing pole. And then Harry goes to his widow and says, "What can you tell me about him?" And she's like, "He never left me a damn cent. He was a bastard, and he was sleeping around on me, and I don't want to talk about him." And he's like, "Well, listen, I need to find out. So I have some questions for you." I think he just keeps saying he has questions, and then these 2 big motherfuckers who are fishmongers decide that they're not having it. So they're gonna rough him up, but of course Harry's 2 steps ahead of him. One of them gets his face shoved in the fish pile, which is a great moment when you're a cop. You look forward to things like that, and he's about to beat the shit out of the other one when she pulls a knife on him, or is it a
I
gun?
don't know, it was like a shotgun or something.
Shotgun,
yeah.
yeah.
It was a shotgun.
And she's like, I told you I don't want to talk about it. So he's like, well, I'll come back when you're less bereaved.
Yep.
Which is a great line, too.
So yeah, these guys, they get Mick out of jail, and and then we get cut over, and Jennifer's, Harry left the house after they were done. It was still the middle of the night, so he leaves. Mick gets out of jail at the same time, and it's still probably pretty early in the night. And then Jennifer goes off, and then she's going to head over to the next house. She goes into this fancy neighborhood of St. Paul, goes into the house or something. And of course it's lit, and she sneaks into this room, and there's this guy in a chair just sitting there. Man, you're talking about heartbreaking.
Staring at the wall, yeah.
Yeah, just heartbreaking. And so we come to find out it's Pat Hingle's son. He was, in the rape scene, he was kind of the one who, was forced into doing it. He didn't want to do it. They really forced him to do it. And I guess, the same thing that happened to her sister happened to him, too, which I thought was really ironic.
Yeah, so, and this is another guy we didn't get too much information about until we get the reveal that he was one of the gang, but, didn't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's a really quick line, but we find out that after it happened, he got in his car and drove into a brick wall or something.
He tried to kill himself.
Yeah.
Pat had his dialogue where he prayed for you to come back every day because he felt so guilty and remorseful about it, and then he just couldn't take living anymore, so he tried to kill himself. And I was just and that's a powerful scene.
It is, yeah.
He's just, and then he says, that's, him and I, his mom died when he was really young, all we have. We have each other, and that's it.
Pat was great when he was like a firecracker earlier, but this scene he shows real range as an actor. You said it, heartbreaking between the kid who can't even speak anymore, and then Pat Hingle as his dad. You really get the human side of him. You really feel for the guy.
Yeah, and so he says go home. You've done all you can. And she's like, well, there's one more. And he's like, I got him in my jail, and we're going to make sure he gets justice. And now we know why he didn't answer the phone, because, he knew what was going on. And now we know why he was preventing Harry to, kind of stall the case a little bit. Question for you.
Yeah.
Would you classify Pat Hingle as a good guy or a bad guy in this movie?
I would say that he's kind of a victim of the villains, but he's also letting them get away with it. So I think morally you don't want to support this guy because you feel like he should have.
He failed
because it's your son. I mean,
he failed the law because he could have arrested all of them, but unfortunately they would have ratted his son out.
Yeah.
So he was protecting his son, but he had to let them go in return.
But I mean, when you're the police chief, your job is to enforce the law. You can't make exceptions.
Yeah, well,
so
I mean, I think this is the biggest theme of the movie is making exceptions for the law. Do you uphold the law, or do you make certain, do you have certain circumstances that you could bend the rules of the law a little bit? Because he broke it. He tampered with evidence, and kind of an obstruction of justice, really.
Yeah.
He failed the law, but he did it out of love for his son, because he knew his son wasn't a bad person.
Yeah, I don't think I want to support this guy, but you can understand where his heart is.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, he's not a bad guy. I mean, what would you do if that was your son?
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's a hard question.
It's a hard question. I don't think you can really answer with that. So yeah, it's heartbreaking, and of course, Mick and his gang show up, and they find the girl, they get the girl, and tell Pat Hingle to drop the gun. He does, and they take her away. He tries to pick up the gun the last moment, but Mick shoots him and he dies.
Yeah, he shoots him in the gut.
In the gut, yeah.
And then goes over to taunt him, and then shoots him again and kills him. They're not nice people.
Yeah, and he just leaves the kid who can't talk just there.
Yeah, I thought about that after watching it. I don't remember if there was any.
There's no follow-up. There's no follow-up. He's just there. That's, oh, God. He's the real loser of this whole movie. If you really think about it. You know, he lost his.
Yeah.
He had a terrible life. He lost his mom. You know, and then he got. You know, he hung around with the wrong crowd and got forced into it. He was so like guilty about it. He felt so guilty about it. He tried to kill himself. But no, you get to live, and you get to suffer for the rest of your life thinking about it. You literally can't do anything. That's probably the only thing in his mind, and he can't do anything. And then he sees his dad die in front of him. I'm pretty sure he knows his dad died in front of him. And he's left all alone to suffer for the rest of his life as punishment. That's horrific.
Yes. You know, I never thought about it so deeply.
It's so terrible. Like, I really, like, considered it for a moment. Like, my God, this guy is now, like, for the rest of his life, he's going to suffer. And there's nothing he can do about it. He just has to live out his days. He can't talk to people about what happened. He's just comatose in this, like, purgatory for the rest of his life. How terrible is that? And maybe that's why Jennifer didn't kill him. Because she realized maybe
she couldn't do anything worse than
couldn't do anything worse than what he was already in.
Mm.
That's awful.
God, that's dark.
Yeah, that's awful. That's terrible. Well, I mean, it's great scene, but my God, like, this is horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not the fuzzy one that the previous film was.
No, not even close.
It's a course correction, probably.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, and then it comes down to the final showdown. You know, they're gonna rape her. Again.
Yeah, back to the boardwalk.
We're back to the boardwalk, and she's like, "All right, you're gonna have to rape me over my dead cold body. Think you can get it out this time?" Just insults him, taunts him, so he beats her up. She gets away. She like hits him with a log and stuff like that. The two guys are just like, "Huh?" And so they chase after her, and they finally get her again on the boardwalk. And then there's that great scene where like the one guy's like, "What the hell is that?" And it's Harry.
Yeah, so if we
and they beat the shit out of him, by the way. We forgot that part. Where he goes back to the fish market, she closes it, and he walks past the truck, and all three of them just get up on him and kick him into the water.
Yeah, so the same two assholes who were at the fish market, they tail him, and then beat him up and throw him into the water. I don't know if it's the ocean or not.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's on the coast. So yeah, so they throw him off the pier, and Harry's the only man tough enough to survive the California waters.
Not the San Francisco Bay, so I guess he's okay.
So then, yeah, there's a long break where we don't know what happened, but eventually he kind of staggers out of the water, cuts all over his face, and makes it just in time for the showdown. And so yeah, there's that scene where they're just about to bust in and do their worst when it comes to Jennifer, and then they see a silhouette in the distance, and one of the guys, what the hell? And then I wrote this down. I know how stupid it is, but earlier on, he outfits his famous 44 Magnum with like an extension, and I wrote down, at what point does a 44 become an 88? Because his gun becomes like a cannon.
Yeah. It's awesome though. The lighting was great.
It's pretty amazing.
And he fucking kills the two guys just instantly. They try to like hide it, and he's just like, yeah, fuck you.
My other favorite is he goes behind like a poster board, and he's like, whew, safe. Yeah. He fires right through it.
Right through it, through his head and everything. Yeah. And so then like he's chasing after Mick and Jennifer. And of course, they go through all of this, you know, after all these chase scenes, you know, going through the carousel, going through all this shit before, now they're going on to the only thing that's left in the amusement park that's not the Ferris wheel, it's the fucking roller coaster. So they get onto the track, and, you know, Mick's just being Mick, going crazy, like, we're gonna have some fun, Kappa! I ain't giving up my cool!
Oh, yeah, he's just so nasty in that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's good.
Yeah,
good performance.
He's good, but then she kind of elbows him, and he just shoots him. And he's just like, I think he shoots him in the head, but he's still alive because he falls off like. You know, he's got her as a hostage, and Harry gets to say "Make my day" once again, and then fires at him and hits him. hits him in the head, but he falls off, but he's screaming, and then he crashes through the glass, and he lands on the unicorn, like, horn in there. And I wrote on here, what a creative kill! Way to go!
Yeah, this is one of the all-time great deaths.
Mm-hmm.
So he falls off the top of the, like, steps to get on the roller coaster, and then through this glass ceiling onto the carousel where there's one of the characters is a unicorn, and its horn just goes right through this guy's gut, and he gets impaled to death on a unicorn.
Yeah.
Weren't ready for that, were you?
No, first I was like, that's fucking awesome. That's fucking metal. And of course, at the end, they find the murder weapon, the gun, and, she kind of, before the cop comes up, she kind of has a whole spiel like, where's the justice for me and my sister and all that? What did the justice system do here and everything? Of course, the guy, the cop that kind of helped Harry out, he found the gun that, Jennifer originally had, that Mick had. He's like, I found this on him, and Harry's just like, well, you found your killer. I'm sure the ballistics will match that gun. And that's it.
Yeah, at one point, he snagged her gun from her and stuck it in his back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So now that he's dead, for all we know, he was the killer all along.
He was the killer.
It's a good ending.
Yeah. It's a good ending, and, that's where the movie ends. They kind of just, like, the sun rises, and Harry's like, I believe the ballistics will match.
Yeah, there's a great moment where she looks at him sort of like she knows she's going to jail, and she's like, well, you do what you have to do, but where's the justice?
Mm-hmm.
And then so he makes that last-minute decision to pin it on Mick,
mm-hmm.
and that's where the movie ends.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, once again, a helicopter pan-out shot of
them
walking away. We never get away without having one of those.
I know. Overall, what did you, this is the second time you and I have watched this movie. What did you think overall?
I still think overall, and I might get thrown under the bus for this, it's my least favorite in the series. I just think that the same kind of joy is not there from watching it that you get with all the others. It's very dour, it's very grim. Like you said, it's a movie that makes you think about a lot of uncomfortable things and ask some difficult questions, and I admire it for that, but there's just no moment where you get to kind of catch a breath at all.
No.
So,
but
kind of, it's where the other movies, they never slow down. This one gets to be kind of a slog between all the dark themes, all the violence, all of it. No attempt is made to to cheer you back up, which for me it's a bit much.
Yeah, there's a lot to it, but I still say I like it more than The Enforcer. Watching it again, I'm like, okay, I like it. I think a better billing cast in this one than the last. Some lighthearted moments. I loved Meathead. I wish we would have had Meathead in the Deadpool. Would have loved to see Meathead, but and Horace, poor Horace, man, he got his throat slit. And Harry discovers him after he got out of the water. He goes back to get his magnum, and he finds Horace dead on the floor because Mick Niskoon slit his throat. No, overall, I like this movie. I think there is more I think the villains really make this movie, and the motivation that Jennifer Spencer had. I think it's great. There's still some comedy moments in it that I like too. Overall, I do enjoy this movie a bit more.
Watching it again gave me new respect for it as a film, because it does make you think about things. This whole series has done. I really admire it because it doesn't give you any clear-cut answers. It makes you question what's justice, what's right and wrong. What's a healthy way to deal with your problems, what isn't. And it doesn't tell you the right answer. It's just complicated, just like life. So yeah, while it's a good movie, it's not one I would put on because I want to have a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is a movie where, like, the only reason why I think you would watch the movie because you really like Dirty Harry and you want to finish the whole series. This is not just a movie where you're just gonna pop in randomly out of nowhere. So.
Yeah. And while you had a problem with Bobby Maxwell, I kind of feel the same way about Sandra Locke as Jennifer. I didn't find her very compelling at all.
I mean, I understood her motivation, but yeah, you didn't really. She was more
performance-wise. I mean, the story was fine. but something about her is.
Oh yeah, performance-wise, I think they could have chosen better.
Yeah,
They could have done better.
they could have. Was Michelle Pfeiffer busy at the time or something?
Who knows?
I would have gotten somebody.
Yeah, she was in Scarface by then.
Oh, you're right. It's probably the same year too.
Yep, 83.
Somebody a little more fiery. She was very, very subdued.
Yeah, she was just bland.
Yeah.
I agree. Her performance overall was just kind of bland. I mean, it was what it was.
Yeah.
Everybody else was fine. She was just there. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Yeah, I wish they could have. I wish they could have done better. But
yeah, I wasn't moved by her. She's so muted.
Yeah, she was.
And maybe she's trying to,
She's no Patricia Clarkson, that's for sure. Oh my God!
Get to that, my friend.
Oh my God! Patricia Clarkson.
Well, we may as well get into it now, I guess.
Deadpool. Let's get into Deadpool. Wait, before we go on, finally, what would you rate this out of 5?
As a movie, I guess I'd probably a 3 because it's never one I'm going to put on for my own enjoyment. I think it has a lot of positive qualities, but it's not an all-time classic the way I feel about all the other ones in the series.
Yeah, I'm with you. 3 out of 5 is fair enough. Like it's a movie I'll watch again. It's a movie I enjoy watching, but it's not like really high on my list. I mean, it's just there. It's there. It's not bad. It's not fantastic, but it's not bad either. So yeah, I would say it's average.
Yeah,
average.
My least favorite. The hardest one, I think, to connect with for the audience. At least for me.
No, you might be right about that. You might be right about the general audience. I think I would agree with that statement, actually. I think it is, out of the 5, the hardest to connect with the general audience. For sure. But next one does a little bit better.